Heartbreak feels good in a place like an AMC theater. Somebody was lying because Game of Thrones done crashed the app, y'all. And sometimes therapists need a little therapy too. All that and more coming up on the Blackout Tips.
I listen to the black guy who
Jordan
tips.
is always on my co-host.
I listen to the black guy who tips because Ron and Karen are on.
Rod, Jordan is always on my co-host.
And we're back. We took yesterday off. It was a monumentous occasion. House of the Dragon premiered on HBO, so Game of Thrones is back. I was tweeting with the hashtag Them Thrones, but I saw a lot of hashtags all over the place. But I think I'm sticking to Them Thrones, even though some people say Them Dragons and all that shit. And there was stuff I wanted to talk about yesterday, but you know, it was just like, hey, we're chilling.
A nigga was tired. It was he asked
Karen
me,
was tired,
and I said, "Bitch, I'm tired."
Yeah. And the number one thing before, because I know some people don't listen to regular shows. Yes, I'm thinking I'm back. We're gonna recap.
Oh yeah,
the House of the Dragon on Wednesdays. Shout out to y'all that don't listen because we have mentioned it several times. At this point,
they want to know. They was like, "We got questions, nigga."
My mentions was full. Okay, it was, hey, when is the recap? Like, man, y'all done got rusty. Y'all forgot that we don't recap till the end of the week.
Wednesday.
I like to rewatch, make notes, add my jokes in. It's a reason our shit is the best.
Yes.
Put in the work. Somebody got put in these man hours to make this shit fire.
Come on.
But yeah, so we'll definitely be recapping on Wednesdays. Trying to think. Oh yeah, the official weapon of the show.
The taser.
Unofficial sport.
Bullet
ball extreme. Bunch of stuff to talk about. I'm just gonna go out of order and just talk about what I want to talk about. So I'm not really we'll just go through the segments in the way that we want to talk about them. How about that? Yeah, I think that's what. No, actually, no. My bad. Let's go ahead and do the segments. Let's get this shit out the way. Coronavirus news. Let's hurry up and get to this bullshit. Okay, it's happening still.
Coronavirus. Again? Look, here we go again. We got variants. Really need to keep a mask on hand and follow the plan. Get the vaccine and second shots, whether woman or man. Black out who tips is doing their part, but the dummies expand. Niggas would rather believe a bunch of misinformation. Fuck y'all idiots not getting shots. Now we gotta regress. If we keep going in this direction, we never can rest. Never can get back to the lives we be living the best. Damn fool, stop the lying, stop the intubation crying, cause it's your fault that motherfuckers dying. Damn fool, stop the lying, stop the ventilator crying, cause it's your fault that motherfuckers dying. I do not understand this shit, I'm not a fan of this. We would like one win from the pandemic championship, but fuckers wanna leave it to game 7 with Giannis Delta Kumpo blocking forward progression and Chris middle fingers to your plans, man damn. Looks like it's no Drew Holiday for you and your mans. I'm sick of black people dying for real, so I'm just writing this new piece to let you know how I feel. Coronavirus, yeah. Fuck that COVID-19, it's unseen, it's creeping in the air for you to breathe, yeah. So fuck that COVID-19, it's unseen, it's creeping in the air for you to breathe, yeah.
Coronavirus, let's talk about it. It's happening, things are still going down. This is an article from Bloomberg that says COVID's harmful effects on the brain reverberate years later.
Yeah, because nobody knows how long COVID is. Like you said, we're building the airplane while we're in the air. And so it's one of those things to why I am doing things like everybody else, but I am very cautious compared to some other people because I'm like, no. Nobody knows how long COVID is. However, whatever today is long COVID for somebody. Like, we don't really actually know. And it's going to be years before we actually know how long COVID is. Is it something that's going to stay forever? Is it something that's going to wear off? And, you know, like any other medicine or treatments, things like that, they're going to have to find medications for it. People are going to have to learn how to live with the consequences of long COVID. So, when people catch COVID, for most people, it runs through their system, but this is percentage of people, it sticks around.
Yeah, basically psychotic disorders such as dementia and similar conditions. Many COVID-19 survivors have had them and remain at a higher risk of that for at least 2 years. And that's just, as Karen said, because that's as long as we've been able to measure it, for about 2-3 years. While anxiety and depression occur more frequently after COVID than other respiratory infections, the risk typically subsides within 2 months. Cognitive deficits, known colloquially as brain fog, epilepsy, seizures, and other longer-term mental and brain health disorders remain elevated 24 months later, according to a study published Wednesday in the journal Lancet Psychiatry, is what it's called. Okay, the findings, based on the records of more than 1.25 million patients, add to the evidence of the virus's potential to cause profound damage to the central nervous system and exacerbate the global burden of dementia, which annually costs about $1.3 trillion a year. And that's what it cost when the pandemic began. So who knows what it's going to cost later.
Correct.
So yeah, they said even a mild case of COVID could be associated with a brain shrinkage equivalent to as much as a decade of normal aging.
Oh, damn.
The results have important implications for patients and health services, as it suggests new cases of neurological condition linked to COVID-19 infection are likely to occur for a considerable time after the pandemic has subsided, says Paul Harrison, who's a professor of psychiatry. Yeah, this shit's fucking scary, man.
Yeah,
and the doctors are worried.
Yes, and it's also one of those things where I don't want to sound like a broken record, but voting who you put in office matters, because a lot of this stuff for people is going to be permanent, and a lot of health and insurances are going to have to pick up the cost. So who's in office matters. So, they're going to start capping it. They're going to start calling COVID a pre-existing disease. Like, they're going to do shit so they won't have to eat up the fucking cost of COVID. So who you put in office matters. People that are like, no, what you're not going to do is just shove everybody else off. And so the people that can afford and have the privilege to actually have health care, their shit go through the roof, because a lot of people won't be able to afford it, which means you're going to have people that want it and can't get it, and it's going to be a problem. I remember a few years ago, before Obama came in office, every year my insurance went up and up and up and up and up and up. I was like, God damn, it goes up every year, because this is what happens when you don't have enough people in the pool.
It's good news that the higher risk of depression and anxiety diagnosis after COVID is relatively short-lived, and there's no increase in the risk of these diagnoses in children. However, it's worrying that some other conditions such as dementia and seizures continue to be more frequently diagnosed after COVID, even 2 years later. The fact that these risks remain elevated for so long suggests underlying mechanisms driving them persist well past the acute infection. Potential causes include damage to the cells that line the blood vessels, leading to blood clots and leakage of the blood-brain barrier. Previous vaccination is associated with reduced or unchanged risk of most neurological and psychiatric outcome. The rates of these problems were similar after the emergence of the Omicron and Delta variants, suggesting that coronavirus infections may continue to spur neuropsychiatric illnesses even when they cause otherwise less severe disease. The study is the first to attempt to examine some of the disparate and lingering neurological and psychiatric consequences of COVID in a large data set.
I'm glad, because information like this needs to be put out.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where people's attitude of fuck it. It's no fuck it to somebody that got the long COVID. And this is one reason why people push, get vaccinated, get your boosters. One shot ain't enough. Continue every time a new version, a new remix tape of the shot come out, take your ass up there and get it. That shit matters.
Yeah, it's associated with less risk, or at the worst, it's the same. Of these long-term mental health issues. Tucson nightclub won a $1.6 million lawsuit in the COVID-19 lockout that they had a dispute with the government. So yeah, this is Arizona. The Arizona Daily Star reported Thursday that a jury in Pima County Superior Court sided with Congress street clubs, which is funny because the people that got kicked out, probably ran up on Congress. August 5th, they awarded the owners $1 million to cover the value of the terms left on the lease, over $500,000 for the cost of renovations and equipment. An attorney for the landlord declined to comment on the about an appeal. In the lawsuit, the owner said they closed in March 2020 because the governor wrote that executive order forcing bars and restaurants to shut down.
Right.
They could not reopen for several months because of social distance restrictions. Staffed with COVID-19 and then another shutdown June 2020. Adam Peterson, an attorney for Congress Street Club, said they were not obligated to pay rent during that time under force majeure clause in their lease. That clause relieves tenants hampered by acts out of their control, such as governmental restrictions. The landlord had argued the clause was too vague and said, we need this money. So he locked the club owners out and seized $150,000 worth of their equipment.
What?
Yeah. So, you know what? I take it back. These people, I'm on the club side. Seemed like that made sense to me.
Right.
I mean, they followed the law. Why should I be responsible for paying that rent? It's really out of my control. And if anything, the government should come in let the landlords apply to some type of program, and y'all get y'all money from there.
And odds are, the thing is, they did, and a lot of them landlords did not apply for it, wouldn't go get it, and was like, "Fuck it," and turned around.
Or maybe
like,
he got the PPP
money?
and still did it. I don't know,
right.
But go get that PPP. That ain't my fault, player. World coronavirus cases fall 24%. Deaths rise in Asia. A new coronavirus cases reported globally dropped nearly a quarter in the last week, while deaths fell 6%, but were still higher in parts of Asia. Once again, I just want to point out, Asia is a place that the culture and wearing masks are a lot more than the US. And
oh yeah, it's part of the culture.
To know that they still are going through this ups and downs with it is just that I'm just like, coronavirus is just fucking it's just a beast. Because they're unlike us, they don't have to have as much of a like this 50-50 pushback shit. It's like, no, wear a mask, it's no big deal. And even still, the UN Health Agency said that there were 5.4 million new COVID-19 cases reported last week, a decline of 24% from the previous week. Infections fell everywhere in the world, including nearly 40% in Africa and Europe, and by a third in the Middle East. COVID deaths rose in the Western Pacific and Southeast Asia by 31% and 12% respectively, but fell or remained stable everywhere else. At a press briefing Wednesday, WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said reported coronavirus deaths over the past months have surged 35% and noted there were 15,000 deaths in the past week. So it ain't all good everywhere.
No, and I'm gonna ask this question because I want to be sure I remember. Didn't they have a large percentage of the population that didn't get vaccinated, and so now they're pushing vaccination?
Well, it's saying Asia, so each country is different, so it's not just Asia.
Okay.
I know China had an issue with that, but I'm not sure that's a thing everywhere.
Oh, no problem. I was just asking.
Yeah. But yeah, it's still a lot of deaths. I mean, 15,000 deaths in a week is still terrible. It's not great.
It is.
But yeah, it was just interesting to see that it had went down at all, you know. And who knows? That was last week. It could be back up. I haven't checked. Dr. Fauci stepping down in December after 50 years in government.
Ooh, long time.
Part of me wonders if he's part of the like cuts that Rachel Walensky is considering, or if it's just he was. I mean, I wouldn't blame him if he was just like, I'm retiring anyway. Like, it ain't that I ain't been on point.
It wouldn't be surprising because somebody with the knowledge and the wisdom of Dr. Fauci, I couldn't see her getting rid of him. It wouldn't be surprising, not behind the scenes, if they begged him to stay. And he was like, I've been doing this 50 years and I'm old, and these motherfuckers, I got to hire bodyguards and shit because these motherfuckers don't believe in science. Like, I could see him get to the point where he's like, I just want to do my job. Like, my job is to tell the people the facts and statistics, and this is what I've been doing. But, you know, my job is now politicized, regardless of how people feel or not. You know, that's because of Trump. That's what it is. Like, they can't just do their job neutrally, which is being on top of what's affecting the American people in mass. Now, anytime I say anything, it's an agenda behind all this other bullshit. When I'm just, following the numbers and the stats and statistics, and people from all over the world come and ask me for information, but y'all dumbasses here in America act like I'm a fucking idiot. I don't blame him for retiring.
And second to last story, a California school lifts mask mandate after cops respond for 4-year-old without face covering being sent home.
I welcome him here, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I want him here, but it is our district's policy.
So this little boy won't wear a mask, and it looked like he's running around outside. He's refusing to wear the mask. I do wonder where kids learn that shit from, or if it's just a kid thing. Because to me, I've always felt like, obviously it's one kid, so who knows, but it always kind of seemed like kids just they just do what you tell them to do.
Right. And it's one of those things where most children are taught to follow the rules. Yes, children will rebel and all that stuff, but I guarantee you, would not be surprising, put it like this, a high percentage of chance that his parents are some of these people that don't force them to, that didn't train them to, because you have to kind of train children. And so it's one of those things where, they didn't do their job, send them to school and be like, you're going to teach my kid.
Does he notice? Here she comes, pulling him out of class.
So I wonder if is it the parent that's filming it?
It would not be surprising. Yeah.
Our district policy has changed. I am here to serve all students on our campus that cannot keep spending time on the same issue.
Thank you.
I'm going to have you removed from campus. Leave it.
If you will.
All right. Police officer remove a 4-year-old from campus.
So here's I'm just picking up context because it seemed like maybe the parent was even recording this, and
yes,
that does make me wonder if it's something where the parent is not with the mask shit, was like, I'm sending my kid up here without a mask anyway,
right? I know my
and
child
then
gonna
I'm gonna
fight
record this interaction to show like, I'm the real martyr. I'm the real victim. My kid is being victimized by the school system with a mask policy.
It's about the safety of all the children.
Yeah, none of the other kids probably even had an issue. Just he decided.
Because you recorded it and all that stuff. Like, this right here is a setup by the parents. Who knows? Not trying to funny what you've coached or trained your child to do. No, you don't have to wear a mask no matter what so you're teaching your child to be belligerent, which means you're teaching your child to be a disruption to the class.
I'm teaching him to stand up for his goddamn rights, okay?
Right.
I'm teaching him to stand up against the goddamn government, Karen. Because you're not gonna it's his freedom of speech.
The school district has decided on independently because from what I understand is the numbers within their school district has increased.
Yeah. The fact that this officer doesn't even feel comfortable, he probably anti-mask, he don't even feel comfortable just coming out there and being like, hey, bro, get the fuck off school campus. That's what they do to us. Like, if you don't get your black ass off this campus before I pull my gun out.
So they're basing that decision. And I can't say like what they're doing is wrong, and I can't say what you're doing is wrong. And honestly, like both sides have valid points.
Yeah, see these goddamn cops, man. They don't say shit like this when it's us.
I know both sides.
If this is Ryan Coogler trying to deposit some money, just be locked up. He just be in cuffs by now. He's like, listen, man, I'm not saying anybody's wrong or anybody's right. Just the law is saying you're wrong and you're not right. But other than that, I'm just here to say, I feel for you.
Points.
Yeah.
For me, I just got to make sure the rest of it, as a campus as a whole, everyone's safe and that kids get their education and
and is he holding a can of Arizona iced tea?
And not only that, it's one of those things too where this parent has sent this child to this classroom multiple days. Like this right here was not their first option.
Yeah.
This child been coming here for weeks, and they was like,
I don't know about weeks, but
for a while.
The teacher felt like the teacher was like, so this is happening because you want this to happen. Right. So I know you filming me, but I got to do it. It's also a lot of edits in here. I don't know what he's editing out.
And you seem like a good dude and seem good father, and so I just hope like by next week they lift this and then it's all resolved.
So yeah, he don't want his kid to wear a mask in his frame. That's like, they called the police on my kid, and meanwhile, every video we got of them calling the police on black kid is them slamming you upside the fucking, body slamming some girl in her desk for having her phone or something.
Right.
But yes, I'm interested to know the full backstory. Police officer said Oh, the father. So I guess it went to ABC 7. I just think it's time to move forward. The kids need to see faces. They need to see people smiling. They need to have a brighter outlook on the future in general. The father who only identified himself as Sean. So yeah, it's definitely a
yeah.
Meanwhile, the school district rescinded the policy, so it worked. He got them to rescind the policy.
That was the whole purpose,
right?
So, and my thing, and what's really, really fucked up about it is that we're still in the pandemic. I know people want to move on. I know they want to move on. It, but we're still in the pandemic, and even before coronavirus, children are actually breeders of germs. Like they cough and shit all of each other all of the time. So now something that was, and the reason why they did it because their numbers went up, which means you had more children catching it, which means you had more children coming home with it, breathing in their parents' face. Now their parents are catching it for the first time or actually getting reinfected, all types of shit happening because
this, by the way,
about the safety of the children.
This is the point I keep trying to make. And I actually was reading an article in the Atlantic where they were like, don't try to shift the blame to individuals. The government needs to this, that, and other. I hear what they're saying, but it is still individuals because this is a school district's mask policy, and individuals brought it down by being like, we're not going to comply. We're going to make a stink. We're going to embarrass you. We're going to go to the fucking news until you've seen what the fuck they're doing at these school board meetings and shit. It's a direct threat when they start trying to amplify, like, look what the persecution of my child, like, there's a lot of people not going to be able to hold on this. They're going to fold. And it sounds like this was a responsible school district that was looking at the numbers like, okay, it's going up. Put the mask back on. People aren't going back to that. I don't know how to tell people that. I wish it was as simple as the government says and everybody does it. The CDC recommends everybody does it. I don't think that was ever in the cards. And I think seeing shit like this is showing you something. And so now they had to, after the school board meeting, they had to make mask optional. Because, he went to the school board meeting and I'm sure the parents was acting stupid. And it's just a small amount of parents, but it don't matter because they're the ones putting the pressure, and the people that are willing to comply, that believe in the safety and believe in the mask, believe in vaccines, they're not going to school board ready to fight, threatening people, going online and shit. So this is what we end up with.
Yeah, and that's not funny, and it's really, really fucked up because you put a lot of parents in fear, because for a lot of parents it's like they second or third year dealing with this bullshit. And they're like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait till you graduate and get the fuck out of here. Or a lot of parents are like, fuck it. If I have the money and the privilege, you stay your ass at home.
Yeah. The science don't got both sides.
No, the science don't care, because it's a lot of parents that are like, I don't want to lose my child or have my child get long COVID and shit like that. Because a lot of this shit shows up different in children. Because a lot of these studies are with adults. But eventually they're going to come out with the studies of the children and how this impacts them and how this affects them, and how dealing with the death of their teachers and the death of their student population and people getting sick and things like that. Like, these things affect children, and you talking about, I just want to see a goddamn smile, but at the same time you don't really care about how this actually impacts children.
Apple employees create a petition after the company calls for remote workers to head back to the office.
People ain't trying to hear that.
Yep.
Don't care what they say.
The petition is called Apple Together.
No, people ain't trying to hear that.
Which is funny because they're basically saying Apple far apart.
Right. Because I was listening to a podcast. I want to say it's the Daily. I want to say it's the Daily out of Vox, one of them. And they was actually talking about remote working and how a lot of employers have as remote working because they don't actually want to change the structure of the company to actually make remote working efficient, to see what employees can actually do remote learning and not in remote learning, but remote working, and what employees need to come in. Like they need, the managers need to be retrained. Like the whole structure of the company needs to change. And that right there is a long-term goal. And they don't want to do that. They were like, well, come to school 2 days. I mean, not come to school, go to work 3 days, be off 2 days, however it may be. But what they're finding out is that nobody's satisfied. What they said is happening is that you have people that go, I want to go to work. And guess what? They spend their whole day sitting in there on fucking Zoom meetings because the other half is like, bitch, I'm not coming in. You know, so this camaraderie and this, I want to see my coworker. It ain't there because you have a percentage of people that's like, bitch, no. And they talked about how a lot of people with children and smaller children and stuff are like, hey, if my infant gets sick, guess what? I don't have to eat up PTO time. I don't have to come in late. I don't have to do all these other, like I can do multiple things at the same time. If my child is homeschooling, I can do that for a few minutes and turn back around and go back to work. And they were saying like a lot of companies don't want to, they want to get back to normal because it's easy. Like they don't actually want to do the work that's required to make it good. So they'll be like, fuck it, everybody come back to work. And they said what happens immediately is that they have a percentage of the workforce that immediately start looking for other jobs. They was like, fuck it, I'm not coming back in. Because you and this, they talked about parents, people with disabilities. And they talk about black and brown people. They would say a lot of black and brown people actually prefer to work from home if they have the ability to. They said because they don't have to deal with the racism, and women don't have to deal with the sexism, and none of that stuff. Like that person interaction ain't always a good thing. And they were saying like a lot of the people that's pro come back to work, they said a lot of times they white and they male, and the system worked for them. So they said fuck it, but the system didn't always work for everybody.
Yeah, the day of the work friend is over.
Right.
Like, remember the people you had to talk to them since you were stuck in the same place as them all day? So, like, you kind of become kind of friends. It's over. If we don't got to go to work, it's over for work friends.
Right.
I ain't hanging out with your ass. We was only pretending to be friends because we had to be somewhere for 40 hours at the same time. Fuck that.
Right. And something else they talked about on this podcast, on this particular podcast that I really appreciate, and something that I've felt for a while, they were bringing up a good point because the person talking was like, well, I'm at home and I feel lonely and things like that. And the people, they were talking to people that actually done the study to come up with numbers and statistics. And they brought up a lot of different things, which I completely agree with. They said, your job is not a replacement for your social life. Your job is not required to be your social setting, but jobs actually make work a social setting. So a lot of people associate friendship and getting out of the house with their job. They say you should not do that. They said that's not your job's responsibility. And they was like, your job is not your family. They was like, you have a family. And you know, they was bringing out a lot of good things. They was like, people need to learn how to go out and actually talk to people and find people and go to clubs and do things online, and not put all this responsibility on the job, because a job at any period of time can send you a pink slip and tell you to get the fuck out of here, and then you're crushed and you're destroyed because you held up a standard to something that never promised this. And that's why it's a generational thing, because a lot of the younger generation comes in and they believe that bullshit when they tell you it's a family, blah 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 blah. Then they give them a pink slip and they all destroyed. But I think for a lot of people, particularly once you become older, I know I fell for that, but once you become older and you lost a few jobs and got held a pink slip, you're like, no bitch, let me do my job and go home. Like I've been watching online, they've been talking about quote unquote quiet quitting. That's stupid. You know what you're doing, working your 4 hours a week and getting off the fucking clock like you should be doing in the first place, and not overworking yourself and extending yourself. That's what you're doing. But they call it quote unquote quiet quitting, because you know now it's like you always got to be on. No bitch, when I'm off the clock, I'm off the motherfucking clock. And there have to be a work-life balance, and Americans do not have a work-life balance. They talked about that too, how for a lot of people, because of the being able to work from home, there was like people are traveling, going all parts of the world. There was like people are doing shit that they never could do before, and they was like, you are not going to take that option away from people. People be like, fuck it, I'll go find a job that accommodates me now. And the power is in the hands of the employees, with the employers don't like. They just want everybody in there to watch and monitor and all that shit, because a lot of managers feel like that's managing. And it's one of those things where managers need to be retrained. I think eventually working from home, it might might not be the standard for all jobs, but most jobs will begin to offer that because you will have
certain type of jobs.
Yeah, certain types of jobs.
Yeah,
yes.
you can't do work from home in a lot of jobs.
Right. But the jobs that have it will be able to do it more better because you have managers and shit better trained in it.
The other thing I saw in the chat said the Apple jobs are too good and people won't leave them. I will push back on that because the other thing is everybody's hiring now.
Mm-hmm.
Like 7 million people around the globe died or some shit. So it's a lot of openings. It's definitely an employees market at this point, and having Apple on your resume probably opens up some other cushy ass gigs with these other countries and the other companies, and these companies some of them are sticking to the remote work thing. So you're seeing like a Google and a Facebook and Spotify saying we're not planning on bringing people back to the office. So it's a chance that Apple could lose employees fucking around, you know what I mean? Just because this ain't the market that was like even 4 years ago. You can be like, hey, this is a good job, I ain't trying to fuck this up. Now you got people out here like, come to work. What? Like and hitting up the motherfucking LinkedIn.
Right, be like, how dare you? Because, and also I think for a lot of people working in the office, depend on the person and the position and the job, some people actually get more work done working at home because and also in the study they were saying like people was working like off hours, like sometimes people actually work better later at night after they put the kids to bed and things like that, something you cannot do if you have to be in the office.
And then the last thing, Omicron specific COVID booster shots are just weeks away. Yes, let's fucking go. Anyone ages 12 and up who has completed a primary vaccination series is eligible to get it, is what the CDC is saying. Ain't nope, they not.
Thank God, because that was some bullshit.
Yeah, I changed pharmacies because apparently the pharmacy I was going to was out of network. So certain drugs and stuff I couldn't get, which I had no idea. They just kept telling me they were out, which fuck them for that, because they could have told me, hey, we out of your network. You can go somewhere else and get this. But instead, I'm like, I'm just switching pharmacies then, because y'all, all you had to tell me was just go get that other prescription filled somewhere else,
right?
Which they didn't tell me. Anyway, so I was switching pharmacists, and I went in there, and they was like, "Oh, the new flu shot is out." I was like, "Oh shit, new shit! Give me that flu shot." So I got my flu shot today, but they was also like, "You want a COVID booster?" And I was like. But then I was like, nah, the new joint is only a few weeks away. So, like, I don't want to fuck up any timing with this shit where I don't get it. Like, now we getting too close. Like, if this was April, I'd be like, yeah, gonna shoot it up. But now that this shit is like almost September, I don't want to be like, the new shit drop in 2 weeks, and then they be like, sir, you just had a booster of that old that don't protect against the Omicron. I'll be like, no. So
I will wait, and wherever you go, I go. So I guess I'll be going to new pharmacies too, wherever it is.
Yeah. So it was just the Publix. It wasn't like nothing special about it. But yeah, I said okay. All right, let's get to other news. Let's see what else I want to talk about. Maybe we get straight into some fucking with black people. Oh wait, you know what? HBO Max crashed
for Game of Thrones, and not trying to be funny, and it's one of those things where people lied, like people just flat lied.
Yeah, I told you that shit was just a hate cult group type of that group think bullshit. Everybody was trying their best to dogpile on the fucking show. Everyone was trying to one up each other. It got fucking annoying as shit.
Yes, it did.
To be honest, because one, most of these motherfuckers not that funny, and then it was like you say the same tired ass. It's like the ugly baby jokes where it's like, oh, you gotta laugh. I said ugly baby. And it's like, well, it was funny the first 7 million times, but I'm gonna be honest with you. you're not really giving me hard hitting premises here of Mr. 7,000,001. So it's not, to me it's hacked. To other people, they're like, oh, look, we're all saying we're all being naughty. So I think that's kind of what happened with this shit, where it was like there was nothing you couldn't say bad about Game of Thrones for like 2 years or some shit. And it was like, I get it. You didn't like it. Apparently 95% of a show being good isn't good enough for you. I get it. Now go back to watching the 17th Marvel spinoff, like whatever it is that everyone's watching. And then of course you had the people that were like super critical, like this was a show with 2 white men who didn't know what they were doing, and that's why it's messed up, because white men are the devil. I'm like, well, what about the first 5.5 seasons you loved by them 2 white men with no experience? Guess what? By the end of the series, they had the experience. It wasn't an experience problem anymore. It was and that
nigga didn't finish them books. I don't care what nobody says.
Right.
Everybody gloss across that when you bring it up. He did not finish those books.
So in this case, the book's already done. Right? They doing some old shit he already wrote.
Right. You
Dope.
can tell.
I will see if we can tell. Honestly, it's 1 episode.
I mean, just by the 1 episode, just from the dialogue and stuff, I was like, okay, this must be based off of stuff that's already
yeah. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah. And so my main point was all these detractors, and to me, the worst detractors are the ones who were like, I didn't like that show because it wasn't feminist enough. It was highly offensive to my feminist standards. That watch this one, huh?
Yeah, because
what are you doing over here?
Numbers don't lie.
Stop lying. Y'all love this goddamn show. It had 9.9 million viewers. This is the big stick. This is the one. Hey, everybody, ever since Game of Thrones went off the air, every motherfucking one of these streaming channels has tried with a Game of Thrones type show, and they have all failed. None of them have made the dent that Game of Thrones is making. They ain't getting 10 million people to stream the shit. They spending all this fucking money, and they being extremely diverse, and they trying to make the shit like PG-ish. You don't see all that hardcore killing and gore and all that, even allusions to sexual songs. They not doing that. They did exactly what you told them to do, and nobody want to watch that shit. So guess where you back at motherfucking Game of Thrones and a fucking brutal ass fantasy world. And I saw them complaints last night and was like, here we go with them starting up the bullshit. Like, this shit wasn't feminist enough. I was like, it never was. No, stop coming down here. Stop going to motherfucking Subway talking about it ain't enough vegan ingredients. Like,
it's a Subway.
Bitch. You knew there was a Subway before you walked through Subway's door talking about where the filet mignon. You knew this.
Right. It's McDonald's. Why ain't y'all got no Beyond Beef? Bitch, this is McDonald's.
And then the other part that I thought was also, because I just find it to be dishonest. I don't like, you cannot like the show for those things, but you're being dishonest, acting like you're not fitting to be back here next week. Like you don't love this goddamn show. A nigga got his dick cut off for being a rapist last night. I didn't see not one. The feminism is like that wasn't feminist enough for y'all. Like it's a brutal world. That's what they got, But yeah, I watched that motherfucking Wheel of Time and shit like that, and it's all right. It's not no Thrones. Thrones hit that as soon as the music hit. I said, "We back. We back. We in the universe again, guys. It's gonna be brutal and ugly, and we all gonna be talking about it. And yeah, I can't wait to recap the shit and add in all the jokes and stuff. But man, that shit was, it wouldn't be so bad if they could just not watch.
Right.
Like, god damn, they was watching every moment and then being like, I'm still better than the rest of you because I watched, but I noticed
I'm not one of you Negroes. They bust out with that.
I watched, but I noticed that it wasn't a womanist show. I'm sorry, was it ever? Which one of these is? Which one of these shows lives up to your standards? Because I got a feeling none of them really can. It's all the same high fantasy bullshit. It's all the same, like, we know wasn't no niggas around, but now we done forced them to put niggas in the show. Like, we know what we doing. Like, just sit back and watch the dragons and the brutality and
You know why I came.
Yeah.
Let's go.
But yeah, I can't wait. God
yeah,
damn.
we'll be recapping the whole show
Whew.
Wednesday.
That shit was fucked up already. One episode.
I am all in.
Let's talk about other things though. There's still other hot button issues to bring up. Matter of fact, let's go straight into fucking with black people. But I had to get that Game of Thrones take off my chest. You motherfucking liars. God damn, y'all ain't shit. I'm not watching. Guys, I can't get on the app. Is anyone else having this shit? I thought, why you looking to get on the app? Why you won't be out here?
Yeah,
go home.
People had them jokes about, you're paying for cable.
Yeah, go home.
Didn't have a problem with the cable.
Yeah, but go home is what I'm saying. You say you weren't gonna watch. Remember you discussed it? I hate y'all little dragon show. I was so hurt by the last season. I'll never again. Okay, well then what you doing? How did you? All right.
Hey, we're just fucking with them people because they black. We're just fucking with them people because they black. We're just fucking with them black people. We're just fucking with them blacks. We're just fucking with black people. Hey, hey,
And another thing, someone brought it up in the chat. Thank you. I almost forgot to make this point.
Go ahead.
HBO, we are going to lessen abuse of women and toxic things displayed. First episode, literal brutal C-section. First of all, that shit was all the letter section. But secondly, I'm glad you brought that up. Because if there is one thing that did annoy me, is the fact that they responded to these goddamn bad faith critics that were acting like the Game of Thrones universe could ever be depicted in a way that is truly quote unquote 2022 woke. The book was not written in that way. The fucking interpretation is not gonna be that way. You're gonna have to change everything that happened in the goddamn books to truly make this harrowing world that was brutal to all these people. It's brutal to motherfuckers getting their dicks cut off like Theon and shit. You niggas are full of shit. You didn't expect that to happen, and you're full of shit for HBO people to even do interviews entertaining that nonsense. They should have just, I know that people would have been outraged, but them outraged people gonna watch. They should have turned straight to the motherfucking interview when he asked that, or she asked that, and said, ma'am, listen, they gonna watch. Now, well, what do you mean? I mean, is it gonna be feminist? Ma'am, what I mean is they gonna watch. Well, you said it's not gonna be as brutal. It's a brutal fucking world.
Right.
It's gonna be fucked up. And they know it's gonna be fucked up. Matter of fact, if it's not fucked up, they gonna say our shit mid. They gonna watch. Well, is it gonna be different than Latin? It's gonna be fucked up. It is gonna be fucked up in ways that are different. It's still gonna be fucked up. It's not gonna be good for anybody to live in this world. Everybody is fucked up or getting fucked up.
Right. You talking about before the other one, so the medicine wasn't as advanced, the medical procedures weren't advanced. Like, yes, it's not gonna be cruel. I mean, it's not gonna be nice.
Yeah, that shit got on my nerves. I read them quotes and was like, why are y'all even pretending? Like, it's people not even gonna like it if it's not people having sex in the background and shit. Like, who was this impressive? Who are the people that were out there like, all right, I'm thinking I'm back in? You just want an excuse to hit play. It's no reason to fuck with this show if you own that. Oh man. Oh boy. All right. So now, yeah, fucking with black people. There's a lot of stuff happening right now.
Okay.
This one went viral over the weekend. There was a woman who got fired as a therapist from her job because she went viral on TikTok. And I guess people wasn't impressed with that shit. And her original video, people were sharing yeah, y'all need to listen to this, because it all started from, there was an article about the rise of lonely men, lonely single men, and it talks about how women have got, you know, like psychology today is like men are no longer finding as many relationships because they don't have emotional skills and all that stuff. And, you know, I totally understand that. The thing I would add is I don't think men ever had great emotional skills. I think the main thing that always gets swept under the rug in these fucking discussions, and it's the number one most obvious thing, reading this book called Poorly Understood, and one of the myths it talks about is the marriage myth of getting out of poverty. It's like if more people got married, there'd be less poverty. And the reason that part of that is a myth is because this book doesn't talk about love and emotions. It talks about economics. Women have more choices now. When they had less choices, such as I need a man to get a bank account.
Right.
I can't vote. I can't own property.
I can't drive.
When you needed a man to have things, then of course your ability to get and attain a marriage to a man was not just a emotional thing, it was a financial thing. And people use it. That's why we still use it as a cudgel today. You ain't got no man. This like there's still an old school thinking attached to that. Like, and you don't have the economic ladder movement to move around and do things at your own agency, you know?
Yes. And years ago, before women had a lot of the choices that they have, even with colleges and universities, some girls actually went to college to get a man. Like they would have a high dropout rate. They would go to college, get a man, and then they would no longer go to college.
Right.
But now people are like, no, I fuck that. I'm going to get my degree. I'm going to further, like, I don't have to be attached to you anymore. And this is why they're making the laws to strip women. We can't have y'all out here being free and making choices and quote unquote leaving the men behind. Our egos are broken. Y'all making us feel bad, and we don't want to step up and do what we have to do. So what we do, we'll fucking pass these fucked up ass laws to make you crawl.
It's patriarchy, it's all that shit. So she made this video based off of this article, and apparently she goes on TikTok, and you know, she does a lot of her stuff has become about, even before this, were about black men being, you know, trash or whatever. But in this video, she specifically references being a therapist, some of her clients being black men. But I'll play the video.
Say you need to expand your emotional vocabulary. It's so your life can be easier. Don't you want to be able to communicate with your bitch? I think yes.
Now keep in mind, the article was not about black men, specifically just men, but
right.
Okay, are we supposed to be seeing the video?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's not showing. Okay, give me 1 second, everybody.
Oh, no problem.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right, there you go.
Say you need to expand your emotional vocabulary. It's so your life can be easier. Don't you want to be able to communicate with your bitch? I think yes, right? Long gone are the days where you can just shut down. Bitches is not tolerating that. Like, it used to be where men provided financially or with schmeat, and bitches can make their own self come, and we can pay for our own shit. So I'm gonna need y'all to catch up on the emotional part. If a bitch is telling you, I need you to communicate more, open your fucking mouth. But you know what I realized? And let me back up. A common misconception about me as a clinician is that 90% of my clientele have been men, black men specifically. And
now that part right there is, so I guess in her previous thing, she doesn't necessarily break down like that her clientele is so much black men, even though a lot of her content is about black men being, talking to black men like this. All right.
What we specifically work on is expanding their emotional vocabulary, because a lot of y'all motherfuckers don't even have the words to express how you're feeling. So when you expand your vocabulary and knowledge of what you are experiencing, because y'all are human beings who experience feelings and emotions and don't have to choke that shit down no more. Y'all ain't had to choke that shit down since 2016. Anyway, if y'all are not in therapy, expanding your emotional vocabulary, your life just off top is going to be more difficult. When you expand your emotional vocabulary, you expand your awareness of yourself. When you expand your emotional vocabulary, you understand how you can navigate in this bitch. This fucking weird ass world that is so hard on y'all. Like, let's acknowledge that the world is very difficult for y'all, but y'all are not making it any easier, bro. You're not. when bitches are telling y'all to go to therapy, it's not for us. It's for y'all sad motherfuckers. Go to therapy. Talk about that shit that's on your chest. You don't have to choke that shit down no more. Y'all are doing a disservice to yourself. And so let me sum this shit up. Y'all told bitches to elevate our standards. And at the cost of us elevating y'all standards, y'all got axed because y'all didn't elevate either. Bitches are not tolerating emotional abuse, emotional neglect. Step it up. Go talk to somebody. Go expand your emotional vocabulary so your life can be better, bitch. All right. Go in peace.
I feel like every TikTok is kind of not devolved. I guess it's always just business of just like wear as little clothes as possible. That is be a certain like of attractive, or your content won't do it, because like slapping your ass at the end really had nothing to do with anything. It's like, and I know y'all need to see some titties. All right, here we go. But yeah, so that was the video that went viral, and she ended up getting fired.
Well, hello. It's your friendly neighborhood therapist who thought she could save these hoes, but got her job terminated as a result. Story time? I think yes. Shit, you know.
I don't know. I'm gonna be honest, and I mean, I guess all of it's kind of oversharing, but I would definitely feel a way sharing that I got fired for that shit a couple days later. Like, some of this I would hold in private. You know what I mean? Obviously, everybody's different, but it's like, I wonder what could happen that you would be like, I don't need to run to the internet and tell them my innermost thoughts on this.
That is a people do it across the board regardless of the age, but I realize that it's a generational thing to me to an extent.
Yeah.
Because our generation was not raised on telling everything all the time, and our generation was not of the internet. Like the internet was around, but we actually came into the internet. But you're talking about a generation where the internet has been there since the day they've been born. So to them, their social circles and everything is online. Like that's where they go. Friends, like everything is connected online.
If it was, this just feels like a L I would take in private. I wouldn't want these niggas to know they won or whatever. But but I guess it is content, and if TikTok is your content, then this is what you're gonna do.
I posted a video on Monday telling men that their dusty behavior is only harming them and that they would benefit from emotional intelligence. And I shit you not, by Friday, didn't have employment. All of this started with a Psychology Today article stating that men are lonelier than ever because they have no fucking emotional skills. And I agreed and doubled down and told y'all that y'all lives would radically improve if you expanded the shit that came out.
Now, I will say, if you read the Psychology Today article, it's not in this tone at all. Because it's a Psychology Today article. It's not calling you bitches and dusty and motherfuckers and shit like that, which I understand that's how you make content go viral online. But like, if you would have just said, I agreed with the article, one, it wouldn't have went viral that you agreed, but then two, like, you probably wouldn't have got fired because it wouldn't have been that spicy of a take, because a lot of people agree with that article.
Out your mouth. But instead of healing, y'all will do anything but that. Instead of being accountable, like, hey, this bitch see me, and stirred a little bit, y'all got so hurt that you contacted Massa. That's exactly what happened. So
Massa? They went to the white man on her. That's what it was, Karen. They went to Massa, and that's what happened.
First, the post goes viral on Twitter because y'all need fucking help, and y'all wanted to argue with bitches blue till they fucking blew in the face. Some of you hoes is not gonna be saved, and that's the conclusion that I've come to. So because this shit's going viral, I'm thinking, okay, cool. We starting a discussion on mental health, and people are. You might not like my fucking delivery, but motherfuckers is starting to talk. You know.
Keep in mind also, we talked about, said this just last week. Social media is not a conversation. I think it was last week, maybe it was the week before, but we were talking about that when we talked about Chrissy Teigen. It's like, social media is not a conversation. Is if anything, that's where a conversation goes to die.
Right, they are not your friends.
They're also not your friends, man. Like, this shit goes viral. It is now it was already a bunch of people that don't really know you. Right. When it wasn't going viral. Once it goes viral, now it's super a bunch of people that don't know you, and people using it as a cudgel to like fight with people and feed into this gender war shit. There's repercussions for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, someone brought up they only got her fired because she's a black woman. I said, that's not true because Kevin Samuel never attached his job or said what his job was if it wasn't just being what the fuck ever it was, because he knew if a motherfucker could, if I knew what he worked, he'd be fired. You know what I'm saying? Like he was definitely shitting on black women under this like brutal honesty shit that people think is so fucking great and we need to all be talking to each other like shit all the time. But yeah, I was like, if we knew where he worked, he'd be gone. It wouldn't matter if he worked at Kroger. It wouldn't matter what he did for a living, let alone be a fucking psychiatrist or psychologist or a therapist, somebody that actually would have, if he would have ever at any point been like, and I'm a clinical therapist and 90% of my clients are black women, everybody would be like, what's the name of that again? Let me write this down. What's the phone number?
Shaking the tables, I don't give a fuck. But then it turns into this entire crusade of attacking a black woman who serves the fucking black community. There were comments like, I'm going to find her credentials and report her because I told y'all to be better. Yeah, y'all are fucking weird. Y'all scream that y'all want to protect women, protect black women specifically, but have done nothing to protect this black woman who has been serving the communities. I have been violated in several areas, and I'm going to outline each one. This article was written by a fucking black woman, putting my full government and my place of employment. So being doxxed by a black woman can't fake.
Honestly, like, I know she's in the middle of it, so she can't see it, but you put this content out. How many times do we have to see this happen? There are no rules to this shit where it's like, I call myself this. You are going there. You put your whole face on it. You said what you did for a living. They're gonna find out, you know. And then and she's making it about this one video that went viral, but people was pulling up old shit of just shitting on black dudes. Like, what about this one? What about this one? She gotta have it, you know, and all this shit too. So now you got people that probably been mad, been hoping to get some kind of retaliation, and they can attach more than just this one time, but attach all this shit. And you know, this shit isn't professional. You know, and with it being your job, unfortunately, it's not like you gave a movie review and then someone was like, oh, she gave a movie review, I'm gonna get her fired as a therapist. Like, this was in line with your job. This is like if I'm an accountant and I'm like, you know, telling people how to commit tax fraud or something, like people gonna be like, damn nigga, what you doing? You know? Like I'm not rooting for shit bad to happen, but I'd be alive. I didn't think something bad would happen. If I had a friend if my friend posted this video and said, this is what I do for a living, I would be like, yo, you might want to take this down for people to see it. Cause not cause you wrong or just literally, you know how it is. The internet is not your friend. And this is really putting your job on the line because you're not going to be able to go into an office and defend this content. You know?
Kind of fucking hurts. And she never once reached out to me or contacted me so I could spend my side of the story.
Why would she? You got your side of the story was your TikTok.
Yeah.
This is the article that spooked my fucking job and got me fired. Not only does she not have any regard for my safety, many other articles have been written as a result. Here are a few of them, just to name a few. Black Twitter has words for therapists scolding men to go.
Yeah, I don't know. This is also part of that I'm starting a conversation thing. It's not really a conversation, and starting a conversation always means you're going to go viral into a lot of people's views that don't fuck with you. Like, there's other people on the other side of this. Not all men, not all women, not all pick-me's, not all. There's just people that are like, it's unprofessional. This is needlessly harsh. And, you know, as a person that doesn't really fuck with, I don't like the content that dudes put out bagging on women. And I definitely never defended with, but it was true. You know what I mean? Like, and you see people, so because I said she needs to lower her standards, well, you didn't have to call her a fat bitch or tell her that, you know, don't nobody want you because you got a baby or some shit like that. But there may be people that feel that way, but you don't need, like, I don't understand the harshness of you saying it. I remember we used to have a dude that came on our show and back in the day, and ended up cutting ties with him because he was putting out so much content that was like, you know, black women are hood rats and it's all their fault that the community is fucked up. And it was like, I don't believe that, but then I feel responsible if I platform you and let you say these things on my thing. There may be people that agree with you. You may even have like some statistical thing that you can be like, well, what about this? This is a fact. Yeah, but like, what's up with the harshness? What's up with the like where is this coming from? Because I feel like it's something deeper when it's coming that harsh at supposed to be our sisters. I also get that, you know, you get angry, you get fed up, tired of dealing with this shit. And the main thing I took from even where the first video was she sounded like somebody that's been in that quote unquote conversation that is happening between black men and women online. That is a lot of bad faith shit, and it's how you get the manosphere niggas, and then the y'all niggas are all bullet bags to me women. And it's because motherfuckers have been fighting. And of course, if you look at what they're responding to, it's always gonna seem like, well, that they're being reasonable, they're just defending themselves. All the men always point to that I don't know how many women it was, but at least there's one woman who said black men are bullet bags. And they always are like, see, this black woman claims she for us, she called us bullet bags. And then that woman's like, I was responding to fucking death threats and rape threats and all kinds of shit online. And you know, so it's like, it's always somebody going, no, he hit me first, she hit me first. It's never a point of somebody being like, I'm not gonna join you in this bullshit. I'm not gonna join you. Like, you might be a piece of shit, Kevin Samuels. I'm not gonna join you by trying to create my own viral content so I can get the same views or less views than you, going back and forth with you, hoping I can get some shine off of your negativity, because it's gonna end up negative because you're pushing back with the same negativity that they started with. I really don't think her message was wrong in any way, as far as like the idea of needing therapy, the idea of accessing your emotions, the idea of black men being silent and stuff. I don't think any of that was wrong. But when people hear that online and then think of the 90% of your clientele and go, is she talking to these niggas like this? Or is this just a TikTok thing, but she's professional offline? Is this, you know what I'm saying? Like, that you're gonna invite those questions because it's germane to your job. So I think that's really what happened. You were looking for the viral content, and sometimes that's the worst thing you can get, is that viral content. Reminds me of Bernie So Black, when that shit was driving me crazy and people was publishing my full government name, my picture, all this shit. And I was like, all right, that's just part of it. Like, I said what I said. I don't regret it. I don't feel bad about it. I don't think I said it in a harsh way. And I still got harassed, and it still ended up giving me anxiety. So I can't even imagine if I would have been like, man, fuck that old nigga and all this shit, like, and went viral, and then people were sharing my shit and people were threatening me and stuff. It probably would have got worse. But yeah, man, I thought it was interesting to see so many people just like completely folded into like, she did nothing wrong, and the other people turned it into, you know, she did everything wrong. And it was, to me, it kind of felt, I mean, I know it's your first time seeing it too, but it kind of felt like, I mean, yeah, I can see how that happened. like I'm not saying, you know, with any malicious intent, but it's like the internet is not your friend, and that's what happens.
Yeah, that is what happens. I think for me, messaging and wording means things, and the internet gives people the illusion that you can say anything any old type of way and it's okay, but that's not realistic, because that's not how people function. That's not how the world functions. But you know, when you're doing the things as professional, odds of you going viral are low.
Right.
And you know, she did it for the attention, and she got the attention. And it's one of the things where for me, as somebody who's been on the internet, and particularly Twitter and just on social media as much as I have been, this is what happens. And every time people are always shocked and surprised by the end result of this. But this is literally you could sit down and predict what was going
when
to
I
happen.
saw the video being spread on like Friday or Saturday, whatever day it was of the last, I wasn't paying that much attention. I didn't even press play on the video. I just seen the way people were describing it, and not people that hate her, people that were like, these niggas need to listen to this. You ashy black men need to, and I said, oh no, that like that is like, listen to this black therapist say what I said. That is not gonna go well, because y'all are even using it as like inflammatory, as fuel. Like it was an inflammatory way of putting it, something that in the article that was done like with a lot more professionalism and all that stuff. So it's an inflammatory way of putting it, and then y'all know how this goes. Y'all do use her as a weapon towards these dudes, and these dudes are gonna want some get back. And then it becomes everyone has to play shock that like, I can't believe what happened, and I didn't even pay attention and was like, she getting fired for this or reprimanded or something, because someone at her job is gonna tell her not to do that shit. And now it's the black community betrayed me. It's like, ma'am, there is no one monolith black community. People are allowed to disagree with you. And the same way that you wanted the content to go viral, they're allowed to give their viral ass opinion on the shit. You don't got to agree with it, but you got to be willing to stand 10 toes down on it. Like either fuck y'all, I said what I said, or you got to be able to say, like, you can't be the victim and the you know, the bully or the truth teller, in my opinion.
Right. And also it's more to it than you just making the video. What would happen if I was one of your patients?
If this is my therapist, I would
be fucking
I would not come back. I'll be like, that was it. That's how you, like, when I'm working through shit emotionally, the inner voice is you being like, you motherfucker, you bitch. Like, if, and honest to God, if you reverse the fucking race, I mean the fucking gender on this, there's zero people that are, it would literally on Twitter anyway and social media, it will reverse the sides, because that was a thing. And I get this part, and I think this is a very important part I don't want to gloss over. I definitely understand the people who are like, how the fuck are these Kevin Samuels loving ass men mad about this woman? Because I definitely see the hypocrisy, and they're wrong for that and all that shit. Those men, you know, they fucked up. And so I definitely understand, but that's also why I don't participate in the fighting those Kevin Samuels loving motherfuckers. I don't, whoever this new Andrew Tate dude is, I'm not looking for his people. I'm not sharing his content so we can have a new Kevin Samuels we fight about. I would like to be left out. Y'all can go do that shit, but don't. But just like one of my friends that look at fucking cable news all day, and when we talk, I'll be like, oh my God, the anxiety is killing you. My friends who consume this shit, the anxiety is killing them, talking about black men versus black women 24/7. It's not, as an individual, I cannot see how it's edifying on any level to generalize each other, and especially is so negatively generalize each other and then try to win. Like, you can't win. The other side is never gonna give up. They're not gonna be like, you know what? We as black men, we see it now. We are all trash and we don't deserve good things. Thank you. Enough women have said it. No, they're gonna fight back. And the more they get called trash, the more they're gonna act like trash. And for the women too, like, this shit started with a lot of men going, these black women ain't shit. They angry, this. And now everybody's angry. Everybody's fighting. So it's like she stepped on a fucking grenade that I'm like, wow.
Right. Something that you didn't have to do, because like you said, you could have made this video, presented it in a completely different manner, and still went viral. Because particularly when you do like TikToks and all that stuff, some of that stuff, them doctors and professional people go viral and they just be basically spitting facts or funny or whatever it is. Like, it is actually ways to do it without the negativity, but you opted to go this route.
It's like she was trying to represent for somebody or something. In a way, I just like, I guess I'm not on TikTok enough. You know what I'm saying? But it's like she was trying to reach or have a different angle on the same thing other people say, and maybe that is why I went viral, because, you know, there's an anger underlying what she's saying, and there's a lot of anger at Black men because of the manosphere and glomming onto all that bullshit that people spread. And so I get where the anger came from. I just can't see attaching your job to it. And yeah, I just can't see what, I guess what I'm saying is I can't see how she thought this was gonna go any different than it went.
Yeah, I think, and this is just me. I think everybody thinks that they are an exception to the rule when it comes to social media and the brutalness of it. Everybody thinks that they are above it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody thinks that they are an exception to the rule. But when I go viral, but when people see me, but when I say it, I hate to see it, type of thing. And then you have been around the internet long enough to see when people go viral and shit like that, and particularly people that harass and go at people just relentlessly, when they be on the other side, for a lot of them, that shit calms down. Then all of a sudden their attitude changes and they're gonna look at it completely different. Because I can promise you, moving forward, she's gonna look at it completely different. Because something like this, not only did you get fired, you could jeopardize any job moving forward. Because guess what? When they put your name in there and Google you, this shit is gonna pop up.
It's germane to your job. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't like. Oh, and then so I had a 2-part joke that I thought was fucking aces that I had tweeted the other day, and before I could put my punchline to the joke, someone had responded, right? Let me see if I can even fucking pull it up. But yeah, it was about Kevin Samuels. I said, oh yeah, Kevin Samuels worked for himself. There was no job to get him fired for, at least no job he advertised having. And then the second part of the joke was, because Lord knows I would have been calling up there to get him fired. And this person had responded to this tweet before I could even, put the punchline. And assuming that I was probably about to defend Kevin Samuels in some type of way, which means they definitely don't know my raps.
They've been arguing with people all day.
Yeah. Oh, maybe they deleted it because I don't even see the quote tweet anymore. But the person was like, oh, so you okay with these other doctors, these medical doctors putting stuff on TikTok and trying to make it seem like anybody with a job that posts on TikTok is doing the same thing as this woman, which is not true.
Not true.
But she don't know my raps. I actually don't like that shit. I brought it up several times. I don't like the fucking nurses and orderlies and shit dancing around the hospital and putting it on TikTok. That shit feels really weird.
Yes.
I wish I was somewhere with my spleen getting operated on and my fucking nurses on TikTok doing the goddamn challenge. Like I would be like, damn, nigga, you at work.
And my thing is this, maybe I'm fucking old, particularly with something like this. Do your motherfucking job. I do not need you twerking while you fucking giving me a C-section. I don't want you dropping it like it's low while my chest is wide open, bitch. No, do not film me and do not put it online.
There's an article, I don't remember if we got to it or not, but I know I saved it. But there's an article where there was a doctor who took, she did like liposuction and stuff like that. And so she would take pictures with patients like fat and all the stuff they sucked out of their body and posted on her TikTok and social media. And she ended up either getting fired or reprimanded for that shit because the job was like, what you doing? We've covered multiple instances of people actually literally taking pictures of patients and shit like that, or describing operations they did and stuff, and people were suing them. Like this, I can't imagine. I don't know. Maybe she's just young, but or just caught up in the like social media hype of, I'm viral. These are my friends. All this adoration I'm getting is real and affection, and they truly want me to win. And maybe that's really what happened, when she just got the wake up call of like, a lot of people end up getting that. Hey, they're not your friends. They're not on your side just because they hit follow or they share. doesn't mean that they actually give a fuck about you.
Yeah, it's an addiction, and it's also one of the things that I think is weird too. Now it's completely different if you're like, hey, I'm talking about the procedure, or I'm educating, but like you say, you're actually
like you
going
doing
up and down the hallway and shit like that. No, like,
imagine a doctor who does weight loss surgery, right? Gastrointestinal person, and they do 2.5 minutes on fat people needing to lose weight, cussing and calling them motherfuckers and bitches and shit. Any other analogy? Because this is what happens with social media. Why, like I said, I'm so apprehensive to so much of what I consider to be a lot of groupthink about shit. Is once you check the marginalized boxes that fit my shit. So, okay, we doing black women TM, black men TM, straight black people LGBT. It's like once you check the boxes, then I have to defend you because we're on the same team, as opposed to the principle of the shit. Because once you change any degree of this shit, everybody will be like, yeah, that is fucked up. Like once you change it, like if this was a straight person saying LGBTQ people come in my office and they don't be vocal enough and they need to fucking do that, people will be like, hey, why are you talking like that? Are you talking like this to your patients? Like your clients get this? Is this what you're the attitude you're harboring? If, like I said, if it was somebody that did weight loss surgeries and they was calling motherfuckers fat and saying, when you come in, you need to do this. I told you to go on a diet or you're not going to get this thing. Why people wouldn't look at it with that same thing, and the power dynamics to a lot of people are very black and white. It's black men, privilege, black woman, not as privileged. But we're talking about a power dynamic of a work relationship. Her clients, that's a power dynamic. You're my client. I'm responsible for helping you with your mental health. Here I am ranting and raving online about it. Right. Not to mention some of those black men could be gay. I don't know. And honestly, I don't want to know. It's not my business. You made it everybody's business. So yeah, this one felt like it was a lot less black and white than folks wanted to make it, because you can agree with that message just like you can agree with a lot of shit, but the messenger and the way the message is delivered matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it matters, and it matters a lot, like you said, particularly when the shit is tied with your job. Like you openly say, this is what I do for a living. You put your whole chest and your whole face out there, and we've been around long enough to know that Black Twitter CSI will find you. Like that's the shit that they do. Their whole thing is we go find people all of the time. And we don't care. We go find black women, we go find the white women, the white men, like we actually don't have any boundaries, and we are colorblind when it comes to getting in that ass. So like nobody is quote unquote above us going after their jobs. And so when people be like, hey dog, like this doxing shit is gone too far, everybody want to act like something's wrong.
And I think people like to get caught up in the principle of things like you should be able to do anything. It's like, if you believe that, that's fine. That is not the real world. So if your whole thing is like, it's like the people, I always make this example because I find it to be the funniest but most true example. It's like when the people got mad at the dress code at that black restaurant. But when you start reading the dress code stuff, you start realizing people are going in there acting a fucking fool. And in his own way, that owner can feel like this is anti-black. Y'all don't come to white establishments and twerk on the table over the food at lunch and hop on Instagram and post it. You're not, I remember there was a woman that fucking squirted, like literally squirted at this one brunch thing just to go viral or to have some content. Like, look at her. And it's like, that is fucking disgusting. Right. Like, why? Like, I don't care if she's a black woman. We don't have to, I'm not respectability politics, because I think squirting over people at where people are eating is a bit inappropriate, where there's not even like an age limit and shit. There could be people, kids, like that nothing protects you from the fact that is fucked up. And I don't have to make an excuse. If some nigga put his dick out and start jacking it, we wouldn't even be debating this. We just be like, that's clearly disgusting. So like that kind of like, it's that extreme level of like caping. But it's like, if you put on the cape, finish the outfit, put on the clown nose too, because you got to go all the way to the ends. I'm not on board with that. if she would have posted this and it wouldn't have been, as antagonistic, and she still ends up getting fired, I think I would have been surprised. And she clearly had been posting stuff before this that was antagonistic, but just she never said, my clients are 90% men, and went viral with it. But yeah, I think there's a bunch of people posting on TikTok that are Black women, that are therapists, that are talking about gender issues and stuff, that aren't having this issue.
Right.
It's clearly a delivery thing. And no, I don't have to go to the end of the world because you Black and act like it's okay because I don't want to be seen as a person that hates Black women. It still was fucked up. It's fucked up when these dudes do it. And, and also it was very predictable that it was going to end up this way. So sorry to her, but
very predictable. Like you said, it's one of those things where this is kind of the end result because this is the cycle of this process.
Yeah. Anyway, 0 to 100.
This right here, I'm going to give it a 50.
Yeah, I think I give it like a 50. That's about right. Cause like I'm also not like, because I think the other thing is people were sharing it expecting like every Black man to be upset by it. I wasn't upset by it. I just because I don't think it's professional or whatever, or just because I think her, the way she went at this was the message got lost in the delivery. It doesn't mean that I'm like, well, none of this is true. A lot of it's true. It's just true don't make everything okay. Harsh truth is not always good. And most importantly, like people were saying, well, these niggas need tough love. One, that's definitely not true for Black men. Too much of the love that we get and give is tough.
Ain't it tough?
And tough to me, tough love shouldn't be tough because it's harsh. Love is tough when it perseveres. Love is tough when it lasts. And I'm not talking about abuse and struggle love. I'm just talking about like, if you're gonna love a motherfucker your whole life, y'all gonna go through some times. It's gonna be ups and downs. People, the good and bad is gonna come into your life. And I'm not talking about just good and bad you cause. I'm talking people's health issues, job statuses. Loving through that is, to me, the highest height of what humanity could be. I don't really have a religion, but to me, love is like a religion. The love I have for my friends, my family, my wife, my everybody that I'm attached to, that I have love for, that is the ultimate goal, the ultimate thing you can have for another person. And so whenever I hear people talk about stuff like this and say it's tough love, it's like saying, getting burned with a cigarette is tough love, or getting, getting yelled at and hit is tough love. I don't agree. I don't think love has to look like that. And I think a lot of times when it does, it's because something else is wrong inside of you. Because we've been married. We've been married 20 years this year.
Yeah,
we've been together since we were 16. I have never and will never yell at you like the way this person was yelling. This is insane to me.
No.
And I get that that's normalized for a lot of people, but if I wanted you to truly understand something, I'm not gonna be yelling at you, calling you bitch and motherfucker.
Right. And I think that for a lot of people, that's normal, because it is just for all the years that we've been together, it's just amazing. And I actually thank you for that, because I've been around men, and in my family situation, stuff like that. And, I hear the way men talk to their women or their spouse or significant other, raising their voice and stuff. And I'm like, who is you talking to?
Well, people normalize that stuff. We've seen it like, not just for men either. Like, we've seen that shit. I don't want that for myself. I know it's normalized. I know most people have relationships where they eventually end up talking to each other like that, and they just, I don't know, apologize later or brush it under the table or pretend it didn't happen and move on.
I got two good ears and I can hear you. You do not have to raise your voice.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's impossible for somebody to have a bad day or so. I'm not saying that, but just ideally, when you shut your eyes and you think about the love you want, it ain't that. It's not somebody scolding you like a child. It's not somebody telling you harsh things and then going, well, it's because I love you. And tough love, a lot of times, is just an excuse of like, because you know who else they said had tough love? Kevin fucking Samuels. I remember the people that defended him told me it was because of his tough. He just loved black people so much. Died with a Mexican woman by alone in his apartment. But he had tough love for black folks, and we needed to all accept his harsh truths. And I'm not gonna be a hypocrite. I didn't want it from him, and I don't want it in this fashion from her. And like I said, you could say a lot of things that I could agree with and then lose me because of how you say them.
Right.
That I don't know everything Kevin Samuels said, but maybe some of his fans are right, and he would have said some things I would be like, oh, okay, I can see that. Well, the way he was saying them to me lost everything.
Right, because words mean things.
And just because some people, just because, this is the last thing I'll say, just because some people will tolerate being talked to like that and go, I need that, doesn't make it right.
Right.
It still doesn't make it right. If it's like saying, well, some people need to be burned with a hot curling iron. Well, I'm sorry, you can't go around with hot curling irons burning people just because occasionally somebody might think it's okay. I know a woman who she mourned Kevin Samuels because she was convinced that it was his harsh love that made her lose some weight and all this other stuff. But I've been knowing that woman. She been having that issue with the way she looks internally with herself for years, way before Kevin Samuels existed. And and it's not like that's gonna change anything to these niggas that ain't shit. If a nigga ain't shit, they not looking at you like, well, now that you 20 pounds less, I'ma treat you right. Like they still would have treated you bad or whatever. And some of those issues, it's just, you're never gonna be able to solve looking for some man to solve them or looking for this nigga to give you the advice out of these issues, that's societal issues and shit, But my point being, like, even with her saying, thank you, Kevin Samuels, oh, rest in peace, I'm like, he still was a bad dude. Even if it was 100% true, the only way to reach you was to call you out your name, and he still had a negative impact on the discussion, on the race, on these gender wars. Is terrible. And I don't think we should be matching energy with these niggas. It just seemed like it's self-destruction. I'm just one person, and this is just my opinion, and somebody else will have a different one, and I'm sure they'll be having a GoFundMe and trying to make her into some type of hero or whatever, because that is also kind of the way people were acting with, they be acting with these manosphere dudes. It's like, now you in, we gotta make sure that you feel supported. But I just don't know that, I don't think that stuff was good, that, and so yeah, it fucks with me on that level, because I think I'm very sensitive to the black man versus the black woman, the black man versus LGBTQ. I'm very sensitive to that shit, because I think it's the biggest, most fucked up thing that we have going in online, and everybody just thinks it's part of this game.
Right. Like you said, online. And to me, it frustrates me, because you can always tell where all these conversation and arguments are going to go. And it's never a shock, and it's never a surprise. And also, I think for me, these particularly not person to person and in real life different, but online they are fruitless and pointless, because at the end of the day, you're not changing their mind, and they're not changing your mind.
You realize? Oh, go. I'm sorry.
About to say, nobody at the end of this is gonna be like, you know what, you're right. You know what? I'm gonna stop calling them female. That's not gonna happen. Nobody's gonna say, you know what, all this hurt and pain and stuff that I'm dealing with, I'm gonna stop. That does not happen.
You don't see clips from our show go viral like you see all these other podcasts have clips that go viral, because their clips are normally rooted in this type of disrespect, and it's rewarding. Yes. How many of these shows, the Fresh and Fit type shows, how many of these unhealthy relationship shows, or let's just bring on a black woman, antagonize her until she blows up and have a fight, and we'll send that clip out of us being like, it's really bitch's fault or whatever the fuck it is, and then all of a sudden it blows up. We have 2,000 some episodes of us respecting each other, listening to each other, hearing each other, loving each other, talking to each other like we have some fucking common sense, enjoying each other. And even when we disagree, never sitting up here raising our voice and calling each other out or any of this shit. And yeah, that shit don't sell.
No,
that shit is not the, we'll never have to worry about a motherfucker, our shit going too viral. It's not interesting. They don't give
it's
people,
very boring to a lot of people.
Yeah, like it's the Game of Thrones thing. Matter of fact, full circle, let's wrap this up. It's the Game of Thrones thing. Motherfucker said they hate it. It's not feminist enough. It's terrible. I'm tired of this. And what do? Tune the fuck in.
But you know what they weren't watching? The Wheel of Time and all these other spinoffs.
So we the Wheel of Time. I think we just solved everything. All right, y'all. That's a good place to end it. We've been going for an hour and a half. We got a late start. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow. And then, of course, Wednesday is our Game of Thrones recap.
Yay!
So we'll talk to y'all on Wednesday for the niggas that only listen for Game of Thrones. So you'll never hear this. But for the rest of y'all, we'll see you tomorrow. No sword ratchetness. Until next time, I love you.
I love you too.
Mwah. And I mean it.
I do too.